Wild Turkey makes Wild Turkey 101 8-year, Wild Turkey 12-year, Wild Turkey Father and Son 13-year, and Rare Breed that is non-chill filtered for export or duty-free shops. They're very difficult to get a hold of here in the United States. But how do they compare to the regular Wild Turkey 101 that's available pretty much everywhere for a great price? If you want to hear about it, then stick around. You know,
Here we are.
It's so funny because I picked that music one night watching TV, sitting in my living room in my chair, and now it's like become a part of my ethos.
Yes.
It plays in the back of my head.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's fantastic dancing music, I will say. But before we get started in this blind, Randy, I think that we have to take a moment here and just give a massive shout out to our Patreon family.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So all of you Patreon or patrons or patrons, Patronics, whatever you are.
Whatever. It's
Patronians out there, however you pronounce that, we want to give you a massive thank you for all that you do to support this channel and the mission of Bourbon Real Talk. Hopefully you don't just see it as a one-way street. We want to give you something back in return to show the gratitude that we have for each and every one of you. Stuff like member benefits that include bonus content. We got special offers both on the website and kind of give you a heads up on new merch before it hits the site, so you get to be first in line there. Distillery takeovers, which are fun. Lots of good time. You go around, pick barrels, have a good time, get some stuff bottled up. Just you are part of that whole process, and that's really exciting. In-person meetups. Obviously, we've got virtual online meetups as well. So make sure you go click the link below in the description and check out the Patreon options and see if any of those fit you and your needs, and definitely consider being a part of supporting this channel.
Yes, and we also need to give a fat shout out to all of those out there that had bought Bourbon Real Talk merch in the past, because that is another way that you can support the channel.
Yep.
And we don't want to ignore those guys. All right, so we are going to be doing a blind, but before we get into that, we should introduce our guest.
Yes, thank you.
Hello.
So she's a
Wow.
repeat offender. This is Angela. She's been on before.
Yep.
And she was the one that was screaming cuss words in the background because we tricked her.
Yep.
I plan on being well behaved today.
Yes.
Oh, no, we hope you're not. That was one of the most entertaining episodes ever.
Absolutely. And she is one who's coined the most famous phrase out there in whiskey tasting. This tastes like grass. I'm getting grass.
Yeah, getting grass.
Let me go back to this one.
Leathery or something?
Well, just grass.
Okay.
That's what I remember from that episode, and I
really
use
sophisticated
that
palate.
I use that tasting note quite often with my friends now.
Do you?
I'm getting a little bit of grass.
A little bit of grass.
You know?
Yeah. So she wanted a redemption episode for multiple reasons. One, because you are a cancer survivor.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I am.
And so she
absolutely.
actually was just growing her hair back the last time she was on the episode. And she was very afraid that somebody out there was going to make fun of her appearance. And I promised her that the Bourbon Real Talk family would track that person down and make them pay if they were ugly about that. Just kidding. We're not doxing anyone. But we are glad that you're back. And your hair looks fabulous.
Look at those
Thank
luscious
you.
locks.
Thank
Wow.
you. Yes.
Yeah. So let's get into some disclaimers. So the Wild Turkey products that we mentioned were originally export and duty free, but there are some that have been distributed inside the United States, from what I understand, and some of these can also be purchased on military bases. So it's not always travel exclusive, but for the most part, that's where you would find these bottles. And just always remember, everyone's palate's different, so if you disagree, that's totally okay. We're just doing this for funsies and to get some information out there.
Yeah.
So let's give them some information a little bit about Wild Turkey. Wild Turkey was originally Austin Nichols, which was a non-distiller producer, and they were buying whiskey from Old Hickory Distillery.
Old Hickory.
Old Hickory. I think you got to say it like that.
Old Hickory.
Old Hickory.
Yeah. I remember that distillery back in my childhood.
Back
days.
in your childhood, sure.
Back in the 1940s.
And in 1940, Austin Nichols executive named Thomas McCarthy took samples on a turkey hunting trip. His friends loved it, kept asking for the wild turkey bourbon. In 1942, they created a brand.
Legit.
And they operated from 1942 to 1971 as a non-distiller producer. They did not own a distillery. And so I always find that fascinating because obviously I've started the Prideful Goat, and maybe in 50 years we'll be buying some major distillery. Who knows? Yeah. But yeah, so that was kind of the origin. But in 1971, they did buy the distillery. They had been having contract produce their whiskey, and they rebranded it. They did survive the bourbon dark ages, and they did it by penetrating foreign markets, specifically Japan. And that's why some of the whiskeys that we're going to taste today are only available in Japan, because Wild Turkey has continued to take care of that market ever since the 70s, 80s, and 90s, when they were really big supporters when whiskey wasn't selling very well here in the United States. So they have exclusive age-stated products in Japan that they don't offer here anymore. And so that's why 2 of these are age-stated Wild Turkeys. And there is a little bit of irrational exuberance for these products, where everybody thinks it's the greatest thing in the world because it's from Japan only. And I want to see today whether or not it actually stacks up. Because
we all want what we can't have.
I have a sneaking suspicion that the Wild Turkey 101, which is completely ubiquitous, you can find it everywhere, is going to do well against these exclusive products.
I don't know why it wouldn't. It's delicious.
I agree. I do love Wild Turkey 101.
All right. So in one of your glasses is Wild Turkey 101 8-year. Not available in the U.S. One is Wild Turkey 12-year, not available in the U.S. One is duty-free exclusive rare breed non-chill filtered. One is duty-free exclusive Wild Turkey Father and Son 13-year. And one is just regular old Wild Turkey 101. So
wow. Well, I mean, in the future, it's exciting because I don't know if you've seen previous episodes where Jimmy, Russell, and I were hanging out in one of my dreams, and we are coming out with that Wild Turkey 102.
102.
Yeah, so
it's one better.
I have no doubt that would win this blind, but we don't have that yet.
It's not bottled.
It's still at Old Hickory.
Yeah,
getting, finished.
And that's the issue. It takes a while for the COLA approvals and all that.
Right.
And it's got to be aged to perfection. So, we're going to release that with Jimmy when the time comes.
Yeah. Shout out to you, Jimmy. Let's dive in.
Let's dive in. Let's taste some stuff.
This is a little more difficult at 10:30.
Right? This is not the earliest.
This is a great way to start a Monday.
This is not the earliest we've started drinking that.
I know it. Very different.
I'm with you on that. Ooh, that number 4 is just strange. That is definitely scotchy, right?
Yeah, it's got like a peatiness to it that.
I agree.
People are gonna see my passported face. I need to do one more. I smile. Because I'm like cringing. I had to get rid of the ones I didn't like first. Okay, let me give these.
That's a good call. That's a good call.
Ooh. Or do I?
Speaking of dad jokes, I had a great one the other day. Have you heard about the movie Constipation?
That's an actual movie.
Yeah, it hasn't come out yet.
Got him.
Can't believe I fell for that. I'm so disappointed in myself right now.
I knew I was a bigger Bourbon Real Talk fan than you.
How do you know that?
Well, because I don't just use a Prideful Goat, Glenn. I got an official Bourbon Real Talk tumbler.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I got this Bourbon Real Talk lanyard to carry my whiskey glass in.
Oh, well, speaking of whiskey glasses, do you have one of these?
No, I don't.
Rocks glass.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, official.
Well, I love my wife, and I bought her this official Whiskey Wife flask from Bourbon Real Talk.
Well, that's cute and everything, but I got my wife one of these.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Well,
you can just add your own liquor, and it's an actual cocktail right there in a jar.
Me and my wife like to make cocktails, so we got this simple syrup off the website.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, do you and your wife have one of these? This is an official sticker. You can only get these on the website.
No, but I do have these official coasters that have the Bourbon Real Talk logo on them, and I'm representing.
Well, while you're representing those little coasters of yours, I've got an aroma kit.
Do you?
Yeah, so I can smell literally everything in bourbon. Everything.
Well, I don't have that, but I do have this sample box that I keep all my samples in because I'm part of the community and I share samples.
Yeah, but do you have Glen toppers that are officially Bourbon Real Talk?
I don't have that, but I do have this large whiskey carrying case for my glasses so that I don't break them.
See, I knew you had that. That's why I have the smaller version, okay? It packs more easily into your suitcase. You don't have to mess with that big old thing, okay?
Suitcase, that's for lamos. Check this thing out. I have a Bourbon Real Talk bottle carrying bag. You can't beat that.
I don't know if I can because...
And on top of that, I have a Bourbon Real Talk t-shirt. I'm the bigger fan.
Oh, I can beat that. Is it extra schmedium?
No, I don't have an extra medium.
Ha! Extra schmedium.
You might be the bigger fan. You win.
I knew it.
So whether you're a Bourbon Real Talk super fan or simply looking for quality whiskey swag, head over to bourbonrealtalk.com today.
Clean your plates. That's great.
You're gonna get a sticker,
Oh,
young
I'm
lady.
the only one that finished all of that.
amazing.
You're gonna get a sticker.
Congratulations.
Yes.
Wow.
All right.
All right, so we're back.
We are
and,
back.
Angela hated all of them, as you can see.
Yes.
Just totally.
I'm just
got after it. At 10:30.
flabbergasted. You guys still have some in your glass?
It's shocking because she's been here before, so she knows how much alcohol I'm going to try to give her while she's here. And yet she still finished every drop in the glass.
I mean, it's 10:30 on a Monday morning. I mean, we're just coming out of the bed, ready to roll on some blind taste
Great way to
testings.
start the week.
It's a great way to start the week. It really is.
All right. The Wessinator.
Yes.
We have the bottles now on the table.
We've got them in the order that Chrissy Lynn poured them.
Okay, so for us, we're going to say one is on our left.
Right. Okay.
Okay. And but when we slide them over, we're going to slide them in frame in reverse order for you guys.
Sure.
Okay. And so what was in glass number one?
Glass number one, which I ranked third, was the 8-year Wild Turkey
Japan only.
from Japan only.
Okay. So what did you rank it?
I gave it 4.
You were
Okay.
4.
Not really a fan.
It was 4 for me as well.
So 3, 4, and 4. Okay.
3, 4, and 4 out of
right.
5. That's not the best.
Not
No.
the best.
Okay.
So moving on to glass number 2, though, this was my favorite.
This was my favorite.
This one stuck out to me. It was I could taste a little bit higher proof on it. Mm-hmm.
I
don't
agree.
know.
It was my favorite by far.
Was
Okay.
it?
Yeah.
Maybe not by far, but it was definitely, these were my top 2, so
Okay.
I really liked this one.
Okay.
That shocks me a little. All
right.
right. Let's see. All right.
This is the
Wild Turkey.
rare breed,
Yes.
barrel proof,
and a very
filtered.
very
What's
generous.
the proof on that?
It's cash strength.
116.8.
Yeah.
probably why I
Very
liked it,
generous
too.
member sent us most of these bottles from Japan.
Nice.
And I don't know if he wants to be mentioned. He's stationed over there, but
But we know who you are.
Yeah, we
You're
know who
awesome.
you are, and thank you so much for the care package.
Yeah.
And when I opened this one, I was like, this might be one of my favorite Wild Turkey bottles I've ever drank. It is
Yeah.
so
It's
good.
really
so
good.
good.
And
It is good.
and I don't know why it being non-chill filtered would make that much of a difference. Maybe they select special barrels for that travel exclusive, but it's delicious. So that was number 1 for me. What's the bottle number 3?
Bottle number 3 is the world famous Wild
Turkey 101 coming in second place for me.
It came in third for me.
Third?
Actually,
It
yes.
came in just barely third
but
for me as
barely.
well.
I will agree with the barely third.
Barely third for me as well.
Okay,
on
that
one.
that shocks me a little bit.
Me too, actually. I mean, I really enjoy it.
I
but-
thought it would be everyone's second, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I'm curious what beat this out for
I
you. So
think-
what is number 4?
Number 4 really had a strange note to my palate that maybe it's just early Monday morning palate, but
It's not.
it was
It
it,
was
it
almost like
tasted very. It almost had like scotchy component to me.
Yeah.
Like
we were
a
all
little bit
saying.
of peatiness to it, which I was very shocked to taste.
There's so
Same.
much barrel char in this.
It was
that
not-
it starts to taste like peat smoke.
Right.
Yeah, it
That's
was
what it
by
was.
far number 5 for me.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
my number 5.
It was my least favorite.
Last place
Yeah.
across the board.
Really? Yeah. And
So
probably
first and
one of
last
the-
place were unanimous.
There was
Yeah.
multiple grimaces when I was finishing
Yes.
that glass.
Very strange.
right.
But I will say the second place winner for me was this 12-year.
Same.
It was number 3 for me because 101 was in first place for me, or second place for
Yeah.
me. So it looks like for everyone else, I was number 2, number 3. Y'all were number 2, number 3.
Yeah.
Yes,
Just
y'all-
barely.
these two are really close,
Yeah,
but
I had them close as well.
it just had a little more complexity, maybe. There was just something that just,
Yeah, and it's a 101 proof as well. It's just a little bit higher aged.
and
so.
yeah.
The proof is the same. It's just a little more age on it, which probably gives it a little bit more of a barrel influence. But I don't mind that unless it's like way over the top like this one was.
Yeah.
But I mean, they were really neck and neck to me. So those top 3 were all really well done.
Yeah, they are.
All right. So what did we learn, Angela?
We learned that I don't have to go to Japan to get good
Wild turkey.
wild turkey.
You do not. And also,
Although I would like to for this one.
this can be found in duty-free shops. So if you're flying
Oh,
internationally,
there you go. Because I do that so often.
yeah,
so.
check. Well, you know people too. Like if someone's
This is
traveling,
true.
this one shouldn't be super hard to find if somebody gets access to a duty-free shop. So,
Yeah.
but they were all good, except for maybe the father and son.
Yeah.
The father and son, I actually avoid that pour a little bit.
Yeah.
It's not really for my palate. But
I'm surprised about the 8-year, honestly.
I thought the
I-
8-year
I-
would beat the 12. But
Oh, you
the
did.
12 is a little bit more balanced, I think.
Yes,
so.
I think
And so there's still whatever the barrel selection process was, there's still enough fruit in the mid palate to balance out that barrel char, and that 12 is a pretty darn good pour.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, folks. You do not have to buy travel exclusives or go to Japan to get access to great wild turkey products. If this is your first time watching the show, we'd like to thank you for the view and tell you a little bit about our show philosophy. And that is, we're all about bringing people together around bourbon. And that's a personal mission of mine because I lost my younger brother Sean to suicide in 2014. And in the aftermath of that, and realizing that he had become separated from his, social network around him, and that probably helped contribute to him going down that path, I wanted to find ways to create community and connection. And I saw how bourbon was bringing people together like nothing else I'd ever seen. Even people who would normally avoid creating connection with each other because they had different ideological views will come together around a pour of whiskey. And so we decided to start this podcast, and we figure if we get you connected to whiskey, maybe whiskey will do the rest of the job and get you connected to others. But if you're going to create community, you have to have forums. And when we looked at forums, we saw a lot of hate and troll behavior out there. And that's the opposite of what you need when you're trying to bring people together.
Sure.
We have plenty to fight about without fighting about whiskey. And so we created Bourbon Real Talk community where there is no troll behavior.
Right.
And that way you can get in there and meet others and figure out that you guys really have a connection. But that experience also taught us that if somebody can hate you online, there's nothing that keeps us from loving you online. And that's why we end every show the same way, and that's this. If you woke up this morning and you're unsure whether or not anyone loves you, just know that we love you. We'll see you next time on Bourbon Real Talk. Cheers. Here.
See?
There we go. That's love right there.
Clear glass there.